Hey everyone, Mark and Joey here on a Tuesday morning, and thought we'd bring an NBA subject that maybe not a lot of people have talked about. Joey and I had about an hour-long argument about it.
We should have taped it.
Let's call it a debate.
We should have taped
it would have been better than what we're going to do now, for sure. But there isn't really... We can talk about the series, but we got that coming up in the next couple of days before the first game. You said Thursday?
Thursday's first game in Toronto.
So we thought today, though, we don't want to leave the NBA alone at all. But we got in discussion because after the Raptors won... there was so much congratulations to our president. Leonard is the greatest basketball player that ever lived in history. Blah, blah, blah. Went on and on and on. And I happened to mention a subject at the end of the game that Joey wasn't too happy about. So I thought I'd bring it back up. And I said, realistically, why is this team any better than the team we had last year, the year before, and the year before? Where the only reason we won every series we played except against LeBron. So now, really, was the biggest move Leonard coming to Toronto, or was the biggest move that LeBron left the East and went to the West and gave us a clear path to get through, which I believe that the team that was in place already would be in exactly the same place as we are today, and maybe even easier. We had to beat Philly on a 7th game. The team prior to this was a team that won every year, won every single series they ever played, except against LeBron. So was the real move already in place before this trade with Leonard, all that was made? And if Leonard becomes a one and done, this might be still a disastrous trade for the Raptors long term. They had DeRozan signed up. Now, my point is, which it took me half an hour to get Joey off, that might have even been the next morning. I was not comparing Leonard to DeRozan. I was comparing the team to the team. Because in the old team, Larry was more of a scorer, more of a leader. DeRozan put up a whole bunch of points, but I wasn't comparing him to Leonard. I'm comparing the team that did all that. In addition to that, they also never brought in a midseason player like Gasol to help that.
Give you that
one.
Give you that one.
My point is this team did nothing, has done nothing more than the old team did. And it really came to me because people were talking about should DeRozan and should Casey, the coach, get a ring. Like, they really brought the team to this level. LeBron, let me finish it because I know you got a lot to say. Leonard was brought into an already championship-based team. Like, he just replaced one other player that we had and came on board, and we got there. I'm not disputing that. As I was trying to say to Joey the other night, I was still extremely happy we're going to the championship. I mean, it's great for the city, great for basketball. We haven't had a champion since 1993 when the Blue Jays won the World Series. However, could the other team have made it too? I believe they could, because the only guy they couldn't beat was LeBron. So I have a different opinion. Joey, who absolutely loves Leonard, loves what the team has done, is almost irrational in the thought process about it, had a really different opinion the other night. And when they were talking to the president on the telecast, and man, you're a genius, you're this, you're that, I was so annoyed by that because I believe we had the team. The minute LeBron went to the West, I said, we're going to win this year. And it didn't need to have Leonard. It's not like I don't like the guy. But we traded an 8-year franchise player to a one-and-done guy to maybe get this one championship that we could have had already. I think you agree with that now.
Well, it pains me to say I've calmed down. First of all, in the moment, we had just gotten to the finals, okay? And the first thing he brings up was, I don't know if they're any better though. I was emotional. But I have calmed down, and I've given it some thought. And it pains me to say, you might be right. Because, honestly, the biggest move might have been Marc Gasol. Okay, might have been Marc Gasol coming into our team. Danny Green was a big deal too, and honestly, it might have been if you brought Gasol in with the team we had last year, it might have been just as good. Here is the theory behind it: is every other team got better. What you're right is we don't know, and that's fine. We don't know. The theory, though, behind everyone else
and that is a great spot to be on an opinion, by the way.
Well, yeah, when no one has...
I will admit that you can't prove what I'm saying or not.
I can't prove what you're... yeah, I have no way to say
you
you're
at least
right
have the championship, so I'll give you that.
Here's all I can say is, on paper, the other teams got better. So on paper, it made sense Toronto had to get better. And on paper, Kawhi Leonard's way better than DeMar DeRozan. Now, what you say, unfortunately, is right, too. We never lost... Now, I got on you on this. You were right. The last 3 years is what you're talking about, when we got really good. Yeah. And we did go to the conference finals in 1 year, and then 2 second-round exits by LeBron. Not the first 2 years where Kyle Lowry and DeRozan were kind of youngish and not really there. The last 3 years with a similar team, you had, Van Vliet's even kind of new. He's only the last couple of years. Siakam was only this year, really. Yeah. So even you talk about all that, like with DeRozan, you don't know. But we did only lose to LeBron. Now, when LeBron left,
so maybe we should have hired a psychiatrist rather than getting Leonard.
Well, here's the thing, though. when LeBron left, Milwaukee went on and got players because they saw it as their opportunity.
Right.
Cleveland went on and got players they saw it as their opportunity. So Toronto naturally went and got a player that they thought was their opportunity. But you're right. The thing is, we don't know. And Kenny Smith is the one who brought this up because he mentioned it very quietly. Goes like, well, DeRozan was good enough to be bait for Leonard. They fired Dwayne Casey, who left like a man. But also, Casey let Nick Nurse run the offense. So that's what made Masai Ujiri think it was no big deal. So he thought, like, do we give him credit? And what's the deal?
Although we questioned Nurse throughout the whole playoffs. So we might have been as good or better with Casey.
He made 2 or 3 moves that were very big. That were very big, but he did have to learn a lot, and that's maybe why these series went a little bit longer than in the past. But he did make good adjustments that ended up working them. You're right. I got caught up. I felt like you were comparing DeRozan to Leonard. Also, it felt like you were taking away what just happened, which was like the second greatest moment of my life. So I was very distraught. But in theory, you're right. We do not know. LeBron left the Eastern Conference. We were the number 1 seed with a guy who signed an 8-year deal and Lowry who was under a 4-year deal, and we're best friends. You knew you were going to be good for years going. You knew you had the second youngest team as it was with those guys. And if you did make a trade for Gasol like we did this year and had DeRozan, you're right. How good could that have been? And again, what's important here, and you got through my head, now that I've relaxed, I think about a couple days later, we're not comparing DeRozan to Leonard. He's nowhere close because the defensive end of Leonard is truly insane how good he is defensively. 17 rebounds, all these steals, the shutdown in Giannis and Chris Middleton, that's second to none. The points I'll give you are kind of similar, although Kawhi's put up his mind. He's breaking Michael Jordan's records right now for points. So even
however, I will jump in here that my point about that
was Lowry played.
They never fed DeRozan like they feed Leonard. Right?
I was getting to that. Yeah. You're right about that too. DeRozan was not known as the guy, so he didn't get a chance to be the guy. So that's fair too. So let's not compare offense. Let's compare defense. Not even close to defense. So Leonard's arguably better than DeRozan, but you also mentioned, did the team work well with more of a balanced team instead of an all-star? Yes, although a lot of people will say in clutch moments, they didn't have a guy to give it to. They tried Lowry, he couldn't get it done in clutch moments. They tried DeRozan, he couldn't get it done in clutch moments. That's another reason why people left Kawhi.
I will qualify my point, though, just part of your conversation. If Leonard stays, that changes my opinion.
Of course, yeah. If Leonard stays,
it means that this team is better going forward. I would agree with that 100%. If Leonard stays with us, that's worth the trade.
Absolutely.
So my point is, he's still a one-and-done guy against an 8-year guy, and that's why I think we could have done it with the team. And I don't think, unless the president signs that deal, he's not the genius everybody's giving him credit for.
I'll say this. He did what he might leave too. Yeah. So in theory, he's a genius to himself because he figured, I might as well take a chance. LeBron left. I might as well get one of the best players in the league, which you can't argue to. And that's what you're saying. You finally got through my head. You weren't saying DeRozan was better, but so you went out and got one of the best players in the league. Why not, if you're planning to leave, if it tanks and you don't sign Leonard? If you sign Leonard, it is the greatest deal ever made because he's way better than DeRozan. And in an East that's arguably way easier without LeBron, Kawhi Leonard should help us get there on an easier road than maybe DeRozan. But I agree with you.
Also talk about the point where you're talking about is the fact that the Greek Freak is a new intro into this East, right? He's the new LeBron. I think he was young. I think that the Raptors had a great defensive scheme against him. We talked about that in a previous video. But he's going to get better, and he's going to be the next LeBron. Right. So I would agree long term. If we sign Leonard, only if we sign Leonard, this was a great deal. If not, I think we could have done what we're doing this year. But going forward, having Leonard would be massive going up against the Greek Freak.
But new question, if we beat Golden State, win a title, and he still leaves, was it a success?
No.
I disagree.
I'm not a one-and-done guy. I want to see a team
championship,
that can win all the time.
We never win. I don't want to be a good playoff team for 8 years and not win a title. I'd rather win a title. And be terrible. And be crap. I don't care, okay?
Well, then you get that. That would work for you.
We better win the freaking title. But
I'd like to be like Boston and win every year. So you're right. You want one title? This might be the greatest
Well,
thing
here's
ever.
what I look at. First of all, I do want a title over being just a good playoff team every year and not win a title.
I agree. You want a title.
But he took the chance, and now we're in the title game, and now there's the potential to sign him.
Yeah.
You don't take this chance. You're never going to get a player like Leonard. You can't draft high enough because with DeRozan, you would always be a top playoff team.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to sign a free agent, and you wouldn't be able to trade. You got Kawhi Leonard at a moment where he had to get out of a situation. He didn't want to play, and he didn't get to choose where he went. One way to look at it is, guys, if we want a superstar in Toronto, this was one way to take a risk.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they did it, and I'll give him credit for that. He took a risk that he had to take. I think in his mind, he figured, what the hell? You know, DeRozan might not beat the Greek Freak going forward. This year we got through. Kawhi Leonard can beat the Greek Freak, and he proved it this year. Giannis can't dribble, he can't shoot. But that's why I said you got to look at it on paper and not at LeBron if you want to be logical about why he did it. But you're right. He never had to face LeBron. But I'm quite okay about never having to face LeBron ever again. But you're right. You have to either win the title or sign Leonard. And from what I'm hearing, Chris Carter, who says apparently he's talking to the uncle, he's talking to the agent of Kawhi. They love Toronto. They love Toronto. And they got a solid chance. But from what he said, I know who he's already chosen. And it hasn't wavered much. Well, what he means by that is, if it hasn't wavered much, it's the Los Angeles Clippers, which would be devastating to us in Toronto. And then at that point, I would agree with you, not having DeRozan, which would make you really good. And if you had DeRozan on this squad with Gasol, Siakam's a brand new player to us because he was a most improved player this year. You know, what could we have been?
You got to remember, too, this team used to score a ton of points with DeRozan, Lowry. Lowry used to shoot up 30 points a game when Leonard wasn't there.
It's the defense and the leadership for me.
But it used to be a different style of game, which I agree. Possibly here, they're better. They're certainly better defense with Leonard. So I think to end this for us, the difference of opinion comes from I'd like to be Golden State Warriors and win several championships. You're happy with a one and done Leonard, one and done championship, and then we'd both be happy. With
I guess
Leonard
here's
signs,
my thing.
Leonard signs.
I'm happy for the risk. Although with that being said, DeRozan didn't get one single year without LeBron.
Exactly.
So now that you've mentioned it to me,
my opinion might be more feeling sorry for him than it is.
Well, I never feel sorry for a guy who makes like $80 million
you're all about the
in
money
San
because you're in
Antonio
athletics, but
and is one of the top players and an all-star. So I don't feel sorry for
people's
him.
feelings, no matter how much money they make.
Well, here's why I guess I kind of feel sorry. First of all, Toronto, I don't know why you want to shoot yourself in the foot. You got an all-star to stay and sign an 8-year freaking deal, and you trade him.
Which, by the way, also sets up your franchise for history that you had Lowry and DeRozan sign long-term contracts. So when guys come, now what have we done to guys coming to Toronto? First of all, it's a hard sell. No matter what, it's a hard sell.
Because it's Canada.
So now, because it's Canada, it's cold, all that kind of stuff. Now you've also said, if you came and agreed to a contract, we might trade you a couple days after you sign that contract. That's not a way to get guys to come to our city.
Well, it was a full year after you signed the contract.
Well, it felt like a couple days.
But,
so
yeah.
it happened, and it happened. And you're kind of like, now will anybody come to Toronto when they know, as long as this guy's in charge, and we hear that he might move, but if he's in charge right now, there's no player that's going to trust coming to Toronto.
Winning solves all issues.
By trade.
If you win with Kawhi, Kawhi signs a deal, he knows he's not leaving as long as he keeps on winning. DeRozan, unfortunately, I don't know, like I'm now confused. Now that I've had days to think about it, I am a little confused. DeRozan never got 1 year without LeBron, but I would rather win and burn out than not win at all and just be a good playoff team. But you're always going to question, you know what, at the end of the day, unless you bring a title home solves everyone's issues. Yeah. I wouldn't really care. No one would really care. Kawhi could leave for all I care. Like, honestly, like one title would just make this city go absolutely bananas, absolutely berserk.
When you're waiting 25 years.
Yeah, so if you get a title, whatever. But if you don't, it will always, and he does leave, it will always be a question. DeRozan didn't get one single year without LeBron James in his conference.
And we have a record of this in baseball where we traded everything we had to have 2-year chance at making this run. It didn't work. Although people go, oh my gosh, we were so happy to be in playoffs. We completely decimated our future in baseball with the Blue Jays by bringing in a bunch of guys that were supposed to win, and when they didn't win, that was a loss. Now we're going to be crap. I looked at the paper today because you'll remember a prediction of mine. 15 games out by July 15th.
Yeah.
I'm so far off. They're already 13 and a half games. We're not even out of May.
Here's my one thing about the Blue Jays, which is different than every other sport, is that it's so easy for your players just to be bought and gone.
Yeah.
So in baseball, when you're a lower budget team, I like that risk because guess what? Your good players anyways are gone at the first sniff of free agency because you simply do not have the money. So that's fine. In my mind, there's no way, like, baseball is completely different. But let's say you did in hockey, okay? You trade all your young stars for this veteran team to take 1 or 2 years. That's different because in hockey you can keep your
and draft picks are important in hockey.
Yeah, because it's same in basketball. You get a top pick,
Yeah.
he can be a good player and make your team good for a long time.
Yeah.
You see it with the Leafs right now. It's a little different. Baseball, man, your guys are gone anyway if you're a lower budget team. It's just the fact. So I don't mind the risk in baseball, but in hockey and basketball, it is way longer because you had DeRozan and Lowry for a long period of time. You could have brought Gasol in with those guys anyways. I mean, you didn't trade much for Gasol. Like, let's be honest. And who knows? It's always going to be a question mark. But I tell you what, Kawhi Leonard stays or wins the title. One of those two things.
It's a success for
It's a success, and it is maybe the greatest thing in Toronto Raptors history, and they'll be great for so many years. I would expect multiple finals appearances.
Yeah.
I don't see a team in the East getting so much better than us that we'd never have a chance.
But we're young.
So
we're a
it's
young
really
team
exciting.
still. With our, I mean,
Leonard's
Leonard's only
young.
27, so I mean, even he's really
Well, that's
young.
what I mean. If you
So
could sign
him to a multi-year
well,
contract.
and here's the deal. I was
that
watching.
solves every discussion.
Here's your pitch to Leonard. Man, first of all, you can get $50 more million by staying in Toronto. You can't get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because of some rule about, like, if you stay with a team
The Supermax
that has your contract, you can get the max contract. So he can get $50 more million in Toronto. He can probably win a lot easier. And at the end of the day, apparently, he's become so close with the guys on Toronto and has the respect of the organization. What people talk about why he left San Antonio was simply that the players held a players-only meeting and berated him for not being tough enough for playing.
Yeah.
He is loved in Toronto. He'll always be loved. He can get a free
It would be
$15
a
million.
stupid risk.
He can get a free $15 million penthouse suite, free food everywhere he goes, and, you know, he's loved everywhere no matter what he does. Every year we're going to be in the playoffs, and that's in Toronto, that's enough. In San Antonio, that's not enough. And in LA, that won't be enough.
Yeah.
And your murals everywhere, and apparently now your teammates and you have created this bond. I think it's about a 50-50 right now. I really like our chances. And I tell you what, the effort he's giving is good enough to me that I think he really wants to win and stay. And I think it's a lot closer than people think, but it should be fun. You have to sign him or win a championship for this to be a success. If not, and he leaves, and you got to rebuild, it was a big, big cost in my mind, especially if you took DeRozan and added these new players we gave Kawhi too. It would have been interesting to see, at least for a year, without LeBron, what he could have done for sure. But at the end of the day, Leonard's my guy. I'm ride or die with him right now. Please get me a championship.
I will
please
I will
sign a
finish this
contract.
up as well with him that, you know, he's crazy to go anywhere else. You know, I don't want to talk about his emotions in San Antonio and all that, but he goes to a team that has these egos and all this kind of stuff on it. He is the ego right now in Toronto. He doesn't even have an ego, but he is what the team is about. He's going to go somewhere else, and if they're a pretty good team, he may not be that guy. And if he's injured again, we'll do everything to make sure he doesn't get injured or at least deal with it. He's going to get the same talk he had in San Antonio. Why would you leave this situation?
Well, here's what I'll say. You can
It's
sit 30
ridiculous.
games every goddamn regular season. I don't care.
Exactly.
Regular season doesn't matter. And also,
Well, and we were 25-5 without
look at
him.
the teams they say he's going to go to. So if you go to the Knicks with Durant, Durant's a huge media guy. You're going to be caught up in that, man. You go to LeBron, LA Lakers,
You're number
good
two and
luck.
number two.
You're number two, and the drama around any LeBron team is huge.
Yeah.
So I just don't get it. First of all, in Toronto, for one, our media is pretty generous when it comes to basketball. Maybe not hockey, but basketball. Kyle Lowry will always take the media for you.
Yeah.
He's a Steph Curry when it comes to the willingness of not caring if he's a star, and neither are the other guys. So the way the Raptors set up a team is a bunch of guys from Europe and a very unselfish point guard that would be happy to have you and happy to be who you are. You don't have to change.
And
you
they
go to LA.
They said in those interviews after the final, and they all pointed to Leonard. Like, even Lowry, they're interviewing him, and he's like, this is the reason. He's pointing over to Leonard. Like, interview him.
You know
He's the
what,
one.
man? But Lowry will take it on the chin. He'll defend you.
Yeah.
If you go to LA,
Such a
you
great
are
guy.
so vulnerable. You go to New York, you're so vulnerable. Kevin Durant, LeBron James create drama. Kevin Durant because he's a bit of a baby. LeBron just because he's great.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you'd want to leave, except I get the weather, I guess, and I get the fact you want to be home.
Icon
but
for the rest of your life here. As long as you want to play basketball,
man,
you'd be an
you know
icon
what?
in
Chris
Toronto.
Broussard was so funny when he was doing this pitch for the Raptors. He goes, send them on like a couple 2 weeks vacations during January and February to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And he goes, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Out of those 30 games he's going to take off, send them away all
Yeah,
that.
do 2 weeks at a time. Send them away. Bahamas, full, everything paid for. Like,
Yeah.
just go. Like, and, you know, if that's, because honestly, from what I hear, it's honestly just the weather and being home.
Well,
but
we get it.
We'll see.
We get it.
Hey, man,
We go
it's
to
tough
States
for me to
6 months
argue
a
because
year.
I don't want to be here either, bro. Like, but come on, I don't get it. For the personality you are, you left Michael Jordan's shoe brand to sign a deal with New Balance.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be you want to be an under the radar kind of guy. Well, Toronto will give you that for sure. So we'll see what goes on.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think everyone in Toronto right now is ride or die with the Raptors.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle Lowry and Leonard. And we'll see. Hopefully, they can get us a title.
Thursday night, I hope we get some, speaking of weather, some nice weather.
Yeah.
The Jurassic Park, it went miles past where it's supposed to be. I can't even imagine the numbers that are going to be out there on Thursday night to support this team. Being outside is actually probably more fun than being inside.
Well, for sure. It's way more freeing. You're not sitting down in these tiny little seats.
Yeah.
You're jumping up and down. One more quick thing on the decision after the season, which we'll touch on because I'm sure there'll be decisions afterwards, is this. If Leonard leaves, you're going to probably see Kyle Lowry go, Marc Gasol go, Serge Ibaka go. So unfortunately for Toronto fans, I've heard people say, well, if he goes, we'll say thank you. And he goes, but guys, you're going to lose your guy. You're going to lose your Lowry.
Yeah.
You're going to lose everybody. So it's funny to think that we might get to our first championship in NBA history and 3 weeks later be rebuilding. It'll be interesting to see. But for now, everybody, get on your feet. Show up in Toronto on Thursday night. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. First time, Game 1 of the NBA Finals has not been in Oakland, and it's in Canada. So let's go. Including Vancouver setting up an area so they can watch it.
That's the other thing people don't understand about Toronto is that this is a country team, not a city. Like in the States where it's all city-based. This is like a whole country follows this one team.
Yeah, no, it's like honestly, yeah, it's a whole country, man. I mean, you got everybody. People with like, it's a smaller market than New York, but you got a whole country. I mean, go live in Vancouver. I don't know, like whatever, just stay.
Yeah, be excited. So anyway, we're gonna let it go for that. We wanted to touch on the NBA and some interesting thoughts and debates we had after the championship game. We'll be back with more game-related shows here in the next 2 days. Otherwise, enjoy your Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow.